We're very privileged today to hear Devar Torah from Tom Sudowm. So please, when you can, take a seat. And Tom, the floor is yours.
Shabbat Shalom. Come on, you can do better than that. Shabbat Shalom. That's great. The Torah takes one chapter to describe the creation of the world and nearly 5 parshiot to discuss the building of the Mishkan, the portable temple. Almost 1/3 of the book of Exodus. What is even more confusing is, why is this detailed plan for construction even in the book of Exodus? It seems much more suited for Leviticus, which is where rituals are discussed. And today's Parsha of Terumah begins this cycle of talking about the construction. Many commentators suggest that the Torah is not chronological, and in fact the building of the Mishkan takes place after the incident with the golden calf. And it's a reminder that it was supposed to be a reminder that God dwells in the midst of the people. Aviva Zornberg writes, if indeed the order of the narration is not necessarily chronological, this evokes discomfort, alienation in the reader. And we've taken a lot of time and effort throughout the ages to create stories about why it's here and what it means, and I think Zornberg says it doesn't make a difference. The Torah commentator Nahama Leibowitz, whom I just saw Rabbi Foster will be teaching about over the next month, points out that the philosopher Martin Buber compared the creation of the world with the building of the Mishkan. How does Genesis begin? God made the firmaments. God made 2 great lights. God made, God made, God made, on and on and on. God is the primary actor. He's the creator, he's the architect, he's the builder. In this week's Torah portion, as Buber and Leibowitz point out, it says, let them make for me a sanctuary. They shall make for me. They shall make, they shall make, they shall make. They shall make an ark, they shall make a table, etc., etc., etc. While God remains the architect, God is no longer the builder. The people are the builders. The former chancellor of the Jewish Theological Seminary, Rabbi Ishamar Shorst, reflected on the wanderings of the Jewish people in the desert and called it M&M. M&M is not the candy that doesn't melt in your hand, but in your mouth. It is the reality that each time God performs a miracle, it is quickly followed by the Israelites murmuring. M&M, miracle and murmuring. God splits the sea, and immediately afterwards, the Israelites are complaining because there's nothing to drink. God provides manna, and the Israelites want quail and leeks. Each of God's actions are followed by the Israelites kvetching. What? There weren't enough graves in Egypt? You schlepped us out to the desert to die? We were better off in Egypt. Which leads me to the question, why do they want to go back to Egypt? What was so much better in Egypt? It says in the beginning of Exodus, they built great cities. What I think was so much better for them in Exodus is they worked. They had something to do. They built. They saw what they built, and they took pride in it. Even as slaves, they could see and touch their accomplishments. They had a sense of purpose. In this parsha, they are instructed to bring donations to build the Mishkan. And they brought too much, and Moses has to say no more donations. What Jewish fundraising campaign ever said, we raised too much? We'll build an endowment fund. The reality is they got into this project and they took ownership. And you know what? They don't complain. They don't complain when they're building. They don't say the work was better in Egypt, I want to go back there. They don't complain. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs notes, the building of the Mishkan conferred on them the dignity of labor and creativity. When I think about men's clubs, I think about the men's club here at B'nai Yeshurun. Isn't that exactly what they do? Men's clubs give people the opportunity to participate in synagogue life, to be creative in programming, and to volunteer, to roll up one's sleeves and to do good work for the shul and the Jewish community. 20-plus years ago, when the idea of a Cholent cook-off was developed, Sheila Balk, Murray Berkowitz, and others could have said, let's call 3 caterers, a couple of butchers, they'll all make cholents, we'll hire servants, we'll hire cooks, we'll hire people to serve. They could have hired everybody and not lifted a finger. And you know what? The cholent wouldn't have tasted so good. One describes a cholent when they say, I am building a cholent. I'm taking several ingredients, layering them to build the cholent. One only had to be around B'nai Yeshurun Wednesday and Thursday and Friday of this week to see this in action. What Sheila and Murray understood, the best taste of the cholent is that lots of people got involved in the process of making them and serving them. It gives people the opportunity to be involved. No one complains when they feel that they have an active role to play, and they are being appreciated. So much good work is done here at B'nai Yeshurun by the Men's Club because they are committed to involvement and inclusion. Gil Prus, CEO of the Jewish Federation of Greater Washington, recently sent out an email describing his trip to Israel. He wrote, we also experienced in Israel, as Robin Heltman Weinberg, president of the Jewish Federation of Greater Washington, put it, running on the spirit of purpose. The building of the Mishkan is meant to teach us when you are involved and are running on a spirit of purpose, that spirit of purpose pulls us together and carries us forward, just as we are seeing today in Israel. So I do not believe the chronology of the building of the Mishkan is out of place. I believe this is a perfect parsha for Men's Club Shabbat and the Sheila Radenbalk Cholent Cook-Off. Any of you who knew Sheila understood she had a great spirit of purpose. I challenge all of us to take the lessons of this parsha, Men's Club, and Sheila to cultivate our spirit of purpose here at B'nai Yeshurun, in our families and in our communities. Shabbat Shalom.
Yasher Koch to Tom. I've never heard the building of the Mishkan compared to the building of a cholent or the building of a community. So truly brilliant. Thank you for your words. And so excited to be celebrating Men's Club Shabbat together and all that you do for the shul, and in inviting us all to take part in building this holy community of B'nai Yeshurun.
As we are marking Men's Club Shabbat, a Men's Club has asked Michael Bennett to speak and share some Torah with us this Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom, good morning. So a funny thing happened on my way to the Bima to deliver the Devar Torah at last year's Men's Club Shabbat. I was all ready to go, and then I was preempted by the tryout of Rabbi Jacobs that same weekend. Not that I minded. He spoke beautifully, of course. It helped bring him to B'nai Yeshurun after all, and he and Rabbi Alex have become welcome and wonderful additions to the community. If he was here, I'd say welcome again, but he's in the other room. I would have been happy this year to yield to him again, but David Cohen didn't give me that option when he re-extended the invitation for this year's Men's Club Shabbat. So here I am. In the spirit of all things being connected, though, it's interesting how what Rabbi Jacobs said 1 year ago for Parashat Yitro has relevance today, even though we've moved 2 chapters ahead in Genesis to Parshat Terumah this weekend. Last year, some of you may recall, the rabbi spoke about how Yitro teaches Moshe that Moshe doesn't have to do everything by himself. The rabbi's metaphor was his own dancing skills, something about doing a Jewish two-step, as I recall. You need to know when to take a step forward, he said, and when to take a step back to make room for others. In Terumah, in a way, the Jews are still wandering, and like Moshe, and like Rabbi Jacob's metaphor, still sort of doing a two-step. So thanks for the metaphor, Rabbi. In this parsha, they are commanded to make for God an offering, a terumah, of gold and silver, of blue and purple yarns, of lapis lazuli, and of many other beautiful and precious things described in detail to contribute to the building of the Mishkan. The text actually says that God said, Vayichuli trumah, take for me an offering, not vayiten li truma, give me an offering. Giving could be just a transaction, where separating oneself from one's precious possessions in the name of God is that extra two-step, if you will. The items, which came from God anyway, are restored to holiness, and in the same act, so is the giver. Even the word terumah itself implies more than just a mere gift. It comes from the root for to elevate, that which is lifted up. In a sense, we are stepping forward to be part of the community by making the gift, but we are also stepping back so that we can be lifted up and become one with the holy. So, you might ask, what does all this transcendence have to do with Men's Club Shabbat? Well, guess what? I'm glad you asked. It can be seen as a metaphor for being involved, whether with Men's Club or with any other affiliates or committees of the shul, coming to services, doing community work. We give of our precious resources by showing up. Now, it just so happens I work for a leadership organization, as some of you are aware, but you might not know that our unofficial motto is Leaders Show Up. But my organization always points out that it's how we show up that matters, not just that we show up. Are we just giving a gift? Or are we conscious that when we do so, we are taking two steps back, like when we do at the start of the Amida, to make room for a partnering with God to make something even more holy? To be honest, I initially wasn't comfortable, even last year when David asked me to speak at the Men's Club service, because I'm hardly what you would call a Men's Club leader. True, I've been a member for decades, but I'm not one of the more active that he could have asked for this honor. Then I got to thinking. Whenever I took the kids sukkah judging for Men's Club, or attended a delicious cholent cook-off like the one waiting for us today just on the other side of the wall, I was doing that two-step. I've also always delivered Yom HaShoah candles each year for Men's Club. I initially took that on because I figured I was the only Men's Club member who lives west of Coventry Road, so I may as well do it so people didn't have to schlep so far. But then it hit me. With each delivery, with each other act, I'm taking one step forward to be with my community and two steps back to elevate holiness for me and for others, to give them that opportunity as well. Maybe it's all about how we define our own terumah, our own offerings or gifts. What's our intention? What's our desired result? How are we participating in building a Mishkan for today's world? How are we enacting God's request, v'yichuli, take for me an offering? We each can make a difference with our own precious gifts, however we define and use them. What matters is participating in what is holy, in keeping what is holy squarely in our sights. And like with our ancestors who built the Mishkan in the desert, what matters also is knowing that holiness is not a fixed place or a fixed time. It isn't just at Mount Sinai. It wasn't just in the desert. It isn't just in Israel. It isn't even just in this beautiful sanctuary. And to take a line from Tom, it's not just when we build a cholent, and by the way, it's not also when we just eat a cholent, which I know we're all dying to do. Holiness is something we can all participate in. We don't have to wait for God to tell Moses that we should take him an offering. We can bring our own trumah each and every day in everything we do. At Men's Club, certainly, elsewhere in B'nai Yeshurun, in the wider community, and also in the world. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Michael. I can smell the offerings a little bit. I don't know if you can. I'm told it needs about another 20 minutes to cook, so. Although we don't cook on Shabbat. Honor to call up our intrepid Men's Club president, Joel Herman, with a couple remarks on Men's Club Shabbat. Please be seated.
Tom. Shabbat Shalom. Rabbi Roden-Luria. Rabbi Jacobs. Rabbi Rosenbaum. Rabbi Foster. Cantor Rosenbaum. And thank you to all our congregants for attending our annual Men's Club Shabbat. I am Joel Herman, proud to be our Shul Men's Club president. Sincerely, I appreciate this opportunity before you to reflect on the Men's Club activities and accomplishments of this past year. This past year, the Men's Club shared co-sponsorship programs with our Shul Sisterhood, welcoming Rabbis Jacobs and Rosenbaum with bagels and with Mitchell's ice cream gatherings. We held the comedy in the Sukkah evening, thank you to Ed Weinstein and Shani Kadis for their organizational skills. We supported Mark Fryman and the Ki Tov Orchestra concert. We supported and participated in the 3 shul benefit for Ner V'Hana, thank you, Tom, an Israeli school for displaced and traumatized children ages 6 to 18, raising nearly $20,000. And look for our upcoming trip to Ireland in September. Thank you for Jerry Brodsky, and Laurel Sheldon for organizing that as well. We participated in the November March for Israel in Washington, D.C. David Cohn organized, and 30 congregants participated in the walking tour of our historic Lakeview Cemetery. We had a private talk and tour of the Maltz Museum program, The Girl in the Diary, searching for Rika from the Lodz ghetto. We cheered on our beloved Cleveland Browns with our own shul version of the dog pound, corned beef, and pie tailgate party. Special thanks to Jerry Brodsky and his team of free agents. We recently participated in the Federation of Jewish Men's Club Worldwide Wrap with the Millionaires this past Sunday. We organized and memorialized the Yom Shoah with our annual distribution of memorial yellow candles to all our congregants, whether in town or out of the Cleveland area. Thank you to Paul Wolf and all those who helped, and we'll be continuing this next month. We are so fortunate to be involved in a shul that is extremely committed to serving our congregants and our community in so many ways. Let me encourage you to continue to participate and support your men's club. Thank you. And now, enjoy the 24th annual Sheila Radman Balk Memorial Chulin Cook-Off. Thank you to Mitch Balk and his family for all their support. I know that Richard Berkowitz and his Chulinteers are being diligently preparing their delicacies. Please enjoy and support this delicious event, as well as future programs for Men's Club, Sisterhood, and your shul, B'nai Yeshurun. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Joel. I know you've been waiting to say Chul and Tears for a long time.